Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to welcome you to our Christmas in July. And I'll be the first to tell you that I am such a procrastinator. I could barely do what is in July, much less Christmas in July. But I have some really fun and exciting designs and some ways that you can use your templates, as always, to get more value out of them, to use them in ways that you might not think of. So right away, I just want to state that I'm using polyester 40 weight thread, and I've got two different colors in the top and the bottom, and I'll just show you really quickly. So this is the bobbin thread right there. I have a green bobbin thread as well, and then I've got white in the top. And where that choice came from, let me show you my fabric. So I have it all set up for template. Okay. And the reason I've chose the two different colors is I think the white will be really great and visible for class. It'll allow you to see really well. There's enough layers here with the extra fabric that I think any dottiness will be camouflaged because I have pretty good tension right now. And then, of course, on the back, the red thread will really showcase beautifully on that white fabric. So that's kind of how I've got it laid out, and I've got my fusible right there. And this is my peekaboo fabric for this particular piece. All of my squares are around 12 inches. And one of the things that I am going to do is I'm going to sort of confine my design to the 9.5-inch size. And that's just a random decision that I made. That way I could get, so many pieces out of a cut. You could make them as big as you want. The snowflakes will sew out at 11.5 inches. And here's how you can tell. I'll just put this up here. So if you see right here, if I line this up and I use the key that goes in the bottom here, the foot will sit right on this 11.5-inch mark. And so you can fit this really well into any 12-inch block. Okay, and I'm just making a decision that I'm going to limit my designs to that size, but there's no reason. I just chose that. It's random. So you decide what works for you and play with it, and you'll be able to get the same designs or a version of the design if you want them to be a little bigger. All right, so no, there was
a question that came in here. Someone asked, were they supposed to get a instruction leaflet for the class, or was there just a supply list?
There's just the supply list. So what I'm going to do, though, is I actually wrote some steps, and I'm going to highlight the steps, and you guys can just write them down for each design if you want. It's actually very simple. I don't really think we need a big handout for that. It'll be like, line it up at this and use this size type of thing. So I wrote those down, and I can provide a copy of my chicken scratch, but I think that this is not really complicated. So I think that what we're just going to do is show you some ways that you can use the templates that are unique, but not hard. Okay, so let's start out with our first one. I'm going to bring it up on the screen for you. And this is the sample. So this will get you oriented to where we're going. Okay. So really, really love this design, super excited. The gold thread was a very intentional choice to show as part of the design. And the first one that we're going to do right here is we're going to do just this basic diamond. We're starting at the center, and we're just going to choose a spacing, and we'll put the diamond in, and we'll just come back to the center, and we're going to move to the next one. For your orientation, there are 12 lines on the design. This is designed, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is the 6-point crosshair for all of these designs. And the reason that I chose this 6-point crosshair is snowflakes are naturally 6-sided. And I had no idea about that when I was researching snowflakes. That's just what came up. That is their natural crystalline formation. So I thought that it would be fun for us to use the 6-point crosshair. So let me show you why I want to highlight that. All of the lines that are on the snowflake right here, these reference lines that show angles, these angles are not designed for 6-point. This is designed to work with the 8-point crosshair. So when I make the marks on there, I'm going to just use the center line down the middle of my key and A lot of them have a line right at the top for centering, and if they didn't, I just added one. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with the large diamond. If you're shopping for snowflakes, the snowflakes come a few different ways. There are 2 different sizes in each set. So if there's a large diamond, the large diamond will be sold with the small diamond as a 2-piece set, and it will have, 2 keys for each that goes with it. So you'll be able to use all different sizes with those 2 pieces. If you want to buy all 8 snowflakes, that's how many there are, you can buy those all as one grouping as well. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and seat my needle right at the center. Pull up my bobbin thread and get my needle right there in the center. And I will try to cut those threads in a little bit. So as we start, we're going to use the large diamond. And for the first part of this, let me see if I can grab my cheat sheet so I can show you. All right, so the first one is just the basic diamond, and we're going to line it up on the 7.5-inch mark. So if you see right here, the 7.5-inch mark, with the lines that I have, I don't actually even need to put a key in at this moment. I can just line it up right at that 7.5 right there, and I'll be ready to sew my diamond. So one of the unique features that we're introducing today is that we have a closure key. That's what I'm going to call it. I don't know if Stacy named it something else. But the closure key is, if I put this in, the diamond will be completed and I'll be able to make a complete diamond. So I'm going to keep this handy and I'm going to show you how we're going to use it just to make that really pretty diamond. So as I come up here, I'm going to align right on the edge of the ruler, but I need to take maybe 2 or 3 extra stitches in order to put that closure key in there. So let me just show you. Right here, I'm not even going to tape it. I'm just going to seat it in there. And right now, make sure that the foot is touching, and then I'll line it up right on that straight line, and I'll put my diamond in. And it'll stop right down at the bottom, nice and pretty, right in the straight line. I can just literally take this off. I don't have to move my template unless I just did move it. Let's see. And then I'll just sew right back. It'll get me right back to the center beautifully. I don't really have to do any tape or anything like that. I can literally just sew like that. So right now I'm going to skip this line and we'll go to the next one. And we'll just line that up right on that 7.5. So that is the first step. We're doing one of these diamonds on each of our 7.5-inch markings on the template. Here, just stitch straight, just maybe 2 or 3 stitches beyond this alignment mark right there, because the edge of the foot is what we are seating into our little key. So I'll just show you right now. See how the key won't quite fit? Maybe I need to adjust it a little bit, and then make sure your foot is touching, and I'm lined up right here, and I can just sew my diamond. Has a really nice stop for each point of the diamond on my, right there when the foot touches, it just stops and I'm able to make the adjustment and go the next direction. And then without any trouble, I just lift that out. Just make sure that this stays in place. I can see I'm shifting it around. There we go. And then just sew back down. So what that's allowing us to do is have these beautiful clean shapes right here. And we do have the template all set up. So there's 2 layers of fabric under there. So let's go ahead and we'll just sew those out really quickly and get those in so we can show you the next part. Double checking my line. This first one is the large diamond, and I'm using the 7.5-inch alignment right back there. And I don't even need the key because my needle is right on the line. And as I put this in, I'll just make sure the foot's touching there so that I can sew my diamond. to the closure and then lift that out. And I'll just sew right back down to the center. I really love this new thing. I think it's great. It's allowing me to make the designs as sharp and crystal clean as I want to. And that's been pretty fun. I really feel like I can do a lot more things with it. So let's see. I'm gonna have to cut that little thread back there. He's getting sewn over. So maybe we'll do that before we sew back this time. Lining it right up here on the center. So we do have to do several of these in order to create the design. And right there, I'm right at the bottom of the diamond, right exactly where I need to be. I can just lift that out. And I can tell I maybe need some more stable tape down here in the bottom because it seems like every time I pull that key out, I'm shifting it. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to cut these threads real quick, get these out of there so we don't sew through them anymore. I'll get those later. I can't quite get them. They're kind of ornery. All right, but there you really can see how nice and clean everything is. And here I'll just line this right back up. I'll line it right on that line I'm already touching. And I'll just take a stitch slowly, make sure I can get right on my line back to the center. So let's just keep filling these in. Let's see, I'm going to just see if you guys have any questions. Yes, so I think Stacy is going to share the new key. I think that is going to be available. Stacy, can you comment on that? I'm not sure where we are with that.
We're working on making it available. It's not quite there yet, but it should be before the end of this session.
Oh, okay, great. So it's not that the product is not ready. What they're doing is they're just making sure we have all the appropriate packaging so that all of your questions can be answered correctly, that type of thing. So just line that up right here. Right there, there's a center mark. So I'll just get that lined up, and that's going to help keep that diamond right perfectly centered on that line. The chalk line's going to go away, so if it's a little off or whatever, it's not going to matter. But I do like to make those reference lines as best I can so that I can get everybody back to where they need to be. And then we'll just sew right back down, right to the center. And let's see how many. I think we have, oh, did I mess up? Oh, you guys, I did. Look at, I messed up. Okay, well, that happens. That happens to me too. This will be bonbon time. I'll have to rip it out. So let's see how I can fix it. Let's just put those other diamonds in and we'll just leave this open. I'll just sew over it and I'll tear that one out at a later time. We just don't have time for that right now. So line up on my 7.5. See, talking and sewing, don't do it. That happens to all of us, right? We always get distracted. All right, so just a couple of stitches right in my line so I can get my key on there. You'll see that I wrote the number of the key and I also wrote it on here in an area where I'm not holding it. I did that just to make sure that it was easy for you to see which key is which one that we're using. So let's get lined up right there. This one will cross over because I messed up, but that's okay. We're good to go. I don't know, that could make an even more interesting design if we do this. Look at, if we did this, it looks like they would kiss right there on the corner. Can you guys see that? Ah, we just created a new design. Look at that. I think that'd be so cool. So that'll be another one that you can just put in your thinking cap and maybe do that with them and have them cross over like that. I think that would look really cool. All right, let's take our key out, get ourselves aligned, make sure that we're, oh, I went a little crazy there. I want to get myself right in the line, right where I was before, and then we'll just sew right back down to the center. All right, here we go. Let's put that last one in. Line it up on your 7.5 inch line right here, and just check right at the top that you're centered. So right there, just 1 or 2 stitches beyond that reference line so you can get your little key in there. So it looks like I need maybe 1 more stitch to get my key to fit. There you go. He just slipped right in. We're nice and tight, and we'll just sew that. So I'm going to try to be more careful when I take my key out so I don't have to adjust each time. So that time I held everybody in place and I got a beautiful clean line as I came back. So there's our funny little mistake, but I actually love it. So maybe we'll do something with that at a later time. We'll do a different one, or you can just go ahead and try that, because at 7.5, they would all overlap if we did each of the lines. So right now, we'll just fill in the spaces in between. We'll just ignore this one because he'll get ripped out later. So that was step number 1. And what we've shown you is the basic use where we're aligning the template right there. And for simplicity, we showed how you can use the reference lines without the key. So then you don't have to tape it and take it out and put it back on. You can just use the alignment. So that simplifies that process. Then when we sewed up, we sewed just a few stitches beyond this, because what has to happen is the foot has to be touching there so that we can put the key in. It's not that the needle stops right there. It's that the foot is positioned right there. So we got to stitch up just a few stitches to put the closure key in and get our beautiful diamond. And then we just sew right back down to the center. Okay, so then next we're going to take another one of these really pretty shapes. I call this the onion top. You can call it whatever you want. This is number 7. And you can see I just wrote the number right down there for you. And I've put the center line right on this one. He didn't have it on there. So I just lined him up on my ruler and I just put the center line in there just for convenience. Okay, so we have a space right here. And what I want is I want this little onion top to fill up this area and not overlap. So now this is where we're going to use a little bit taller size. We're going to line him up on that 9.5-inch size right there. And then my line isn't long enough, but I'm just getting it aligned right there in the center. And let's go ahead and do the same thing. So we'll sew up. I'm right on that center line. And again, I need to stitch straight in the line, just a few stitches. So let me show you a unique feature of our specialty little key. We just used the one with the diamond, and that was number 1, I think. Let me see. I set him down back there. Here we go. So I'm going to just show you really quick something important. Notice how these are not the same. The reason that the keys are different is that these fit each exact shape. When you have the other snowflakes, all of the keys just have this little footrest like that. This is just the regular key that came with the set at the different sizes, and they all look like this. When you get this key closure set, each one is different because it matches the exact shape that it is closing. So this one is a diamond, this one is the bigger onion top, and then the smaller one will have a different curve. So make sure that when you look at these, each one of these have to match the number that you're using. You can't just grab one of these and put them in. They have to match. That's why I took the time to just write those numbers on there really big. And it looks like I need one more stitch here because I can't quite get the key aligned. So let me just show you. We're always looking to get that key in there. So you can see right now, I need a few more stitches in order to line that up. So right there. Oh, did I flip him? No, I'm on the right. He just needs one more right there. And I think that even just in the few times that I've used these, I've already gotten better at estimating where I need to stop so that I can get the correct shape, so I can get them to fill in. And I absolutely love how pretty this onion top is. So you can see right there, I have a beautiful shape. I'm right at the bottom, exactly where I need to be. And what I wanted to just show you, that something that would be fun with this is, because this shape now is protecting me from going, say, outside the lines, let's do something crazy. Let's just put a little curve in there, and we'll just kind of aim for the top, and then we'll just come back down. And right there, I'm going to line up right where I need to go back down, and then I just pull the key out, and I'm right in my line, and I can just sew right back down to the center. So having that beautiful closure shape, it gives us some freedom to play or to free motion inside those shapes, which I think is really fun and exciting. And now since we're doing template, we can cut some of this away and leave some of it. So I've got a space on this side and this side, so I can cut those away and then have a little red sort of candy cane stripe right through the middle for our Christmas look. So let's go ahead. We'll do it one more time. We'll show you again what we're doing. We're on the 9.5 inch line. And again, I'm just going to sew up along the edge of the template. And I need just a few stitches right there to get the edge of the foot aligned. So let me show you real quick. The foot has to just be up enough so that that key can slide right in there and be touching. So that's what you're looking for when you're doing that. And then we'll just sew the shape. Come up, all the way down. And we'll just show you that little adjustment. I'm just going to make a little S curve. And even if I don't come right to the top, the ruler will stop me and I can just travel right up to the top using the ruler. Right? See if I don't make it all the way to the top. And then here I'll just travel down and I'll put a little echo right in there. And that'll be my red candy cane stripe because these pieces are a little bit bigger, so they'll be easier to cut. Then hold my ruler in place and make sure I'm in the center where I need to stop, and then we'll just sew right back down the line. Okay, so here's real quick what they look like, just so you can see. Don't you think those are fun? And because even if this curve gets a little wonky, the ruler is preventing it from going outside the shape. It's really allowing us to get that really clean look with that. So let's go ahead. We'll just put a couple more in. We'll just do the same thing. We'll talk through it if we need to. If you have any questions, you can let me know. And you don't have to use the same design that I put in the center. You can use your own. You can make your own little free motion fun. But again, that shape of the template is what is governing us and helping us to keep everything pretty and in the right shape. So I'm going to hold the key. I'm there now, and we'll just sew around the shape. So close it off. Let's see, my thread seems like it's getting trapped here. I can feel that it's got a little snafu. Let's see if we can make it sew anyway. Now, okay. Hang on just a second. We'll get threaded back up. Got a little bobbin issue. Fortunately, when you've done this a lot of times, it's pretty easy to fix it. You can just get re-threaded up really quickly. All right, let's cut that thread and we'll be ready to sew. Close it up and let's make sure it'll pull up. There we go. All right, well, so it wouldn't let us sew, so I can go ahead and get realigned. This will be a good chance for us to show that spacing gauge and how valuable that can be whenever something like that happens. So we'll just come back over here. I think I'll just start right on the bottom again. That'll let us align everything easily because we have a very secure spot where we're starting. And then when I come back, I can use this and I'll stitch back over it as I sew down, and that will tack all the threads, right? We won't tack it right now, but we'll tack it when we come down. So let's go ahead and put this back on. Okay, and we'll get lined right up on the line. There's a little line right there in the center that I can use to align right on my stitch line. And now we can put our little embellishment in. Back to the center, and we'll take the key out, and then we should be free to sew right back down. All right, and let's cut that thread as well. We don't want him in our way while we're working. Okay, so we're all tied off there. And what do you think? Do you like that? This is the candy cane right there. So that's taking us to Candyland for Christmas. And let's see if we can do it a little faster, a little smarter. Not so many challenges here. You just come right down. And here, just slowly creep up. Just hold everything in place and sew right towards yourself. And then you'll have your key in there. The key is touching. I can actually feel it when I pull. So I'm situated really nicely there with my closure key. And here we'll just go right into that little curve and kind of sew right up to the top. And then we'll just echo back right there to put that little candy cane in. Right there, I'm right where I left off. If you're not, you just sew to that spot, and then you'll take your few stitches and you'll be right back on your ruler all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so really great, fun design, not complicated really at all. You are switching some of the keys, but because I don't have any tape on there, I really feel like that's easy. It's not that complicated. I'm just going to sew right up the line, and then I can just slide the key right into place. And then I'm ready to sew. So my plan with these is I'm going to make several of them. I've got some different colorways, and I'm going to go ahead and tack them up on my wall as little decorative snowflakes. So I'm right down at the center. I'll pull this out, take my few stitches real carefully, and then just go right back down to the center right on my ruler. So easy to use. Love it. All right. So you can just imagine how that's
in. Someone asked, what's the difference between the ruler foot and the decorative ruler foot?
So let me grab mine. I have it right here. All right, thank you for your patience. I've got it out. I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this particular one, I don't have the machine that this fits at this point. So we wanted to let you know that it is an option, but we won't be demonstrating it today, but we will be talking about decorative threads and maybe stitching with them when we do our edge-to-edge sample. So notice how this has a filler opening with a little cutaway. There's a little spot right there where the thread can ride. And what it is, if you're using some kind of a decorative thread, and it needs to be fairly weighty, like it can't be super skinny for a decorative thread, there's a little bit of room in here for you then to couch that thread. And the thread has to ride right along, and you have to sew in a straight line. So we'll see if we can do some more discussion about this, but this is a decorative application that allows you to use a thread that you're couching. So you would be stitching, for example, with this white thread, but then you would have another thread. So let's see if I can grab this one. You'd have another thread that would be laying on top, and you would be stitching through that thread. So for example, this one is a decorative thread, but this one is so thin and you really can't couch through this one. This is one you would actually just sew with, because what would happen with this one, if you just stitch through it, you just would break it into a million pieces. So we are going to talk about ways to use decorative thread, and I do have some samples that have that, so we'll be sharing that. But that is something you would use exactly like your ruler foot. I mean, essentially it is a ruler foot. You can use this just to do everything that we're doing right now, but then you would also have the option to add that additional thread with this product. All right, let's see. All right, so let's see where we're at. I think we're done. So we were going to cut this real quick. I think we're finished with our design. So yes, okay, we did have our little snafu, but still I got to show you. It looks so awesome, doesn't it? Look how cool that looks. Don't you think this would be really fun? And this I like because this curvature sort of is like a flower. He sits right in the little V created by those diamonds, which I just think looks so awesome. All right, so let me flip it over. You know that we did have our little thread issue, right? So that's what this is right here when it was binding up. But there is some cleaner areas that you can see. There's our little V right there with our red thread, which really shows up great on this white. So that would be a fun option for you as far as making your little snowflake. So we used our 6-point crosshair, and we actually used it 2 times. So we have 24 lines. Each one of these will have, not 24 lines, the 12 lines, 6 and 6, 6 of the onion tops and 6 of the diamonds. And then later on, I'll just rip that one out and I'll put my little onion top right in that spot. All right, so any questions before we go on with that one? We're going to go ahead and move right to the next design, okay? All right, so the next one that we're going to do, okay, the next one, I'm going to call that, this is the lollipop. So let me grab it so we can show it to you. We'll start with a little sample so you can see where we're going. So love this one. He's so cute. And it just makes me sing the lollipop song. Lollipop, lollipop, right? And we're using the small diamond and the small circle. And these still emanate from the center. So we're still using that same channel to travel on all of the rulers. But again, that closure key is super valuable in putting these little fun spirals in there. So that's what we're going to demo next. So again, this is the same 6-point crosshair, and then we've used it twice. So we'll have 6 lollipops and 6 diamonds. So I'm just going to clean up real quick, get these out of the way. And the 2 that we need are the small circle, which is number 4. So I'll get our closure key because we'll be using that one. And the small diamond, which is number 2. So you can see why I numbered these. I'm so disorganized. I needed that for myself. All right, let's put these away. And I'll just set these over here. So we'll do the lollipop last. We'll do the diamond first. And for the first one with the diamond, we're going to use the 7.5-inch markings. So right there, we're going to line the diamond up right on that 7.5, just like we did before. And we'll put this right in the center. Needle down, and I don't need the key because I have a great visual alignment right there that I can use to line everybody up. So not having to take the keys on and off sometimes is really convenient. If I want to measure the exact spacing and I don't have a convenient mark like we do right now, you know, for example, like if I have that key in there and I want to measure space to space exactly 11.5, for example, that's when I would put those keys in because they allow you to perfectly line up and match the distance from point to point. So that's always important to know that those smaller keys can be used for that. And that's what all of these are that come with your snowflake. It's just that in this instance, we're going to be using the other closure key and we don't need that because we have a good reference line. So again, same thing. This one, we have to go up a little bit to get that diamond closure right in there. So this is the number 2. And you can see that this is a little bit different than the one that we did before. It's similar, but again, we'll put that in there. Just line it up and make sure that it's fitting nice and tight and that we're centered right on the line there. So let me just show you what we're looking for. Right there, I want to make sure that the key fits nice and tight, that my foot is touching. So when I sew all the way around, it'll give me that clean, closed diamond shape. Right there. And I'm right in the line. I can see that my needle is right on the white thread. And then I can just lift the key out and I'll just sew right back down the line, right to the center. One of the things that I love about how these work is you end up with a little bit of extra stitching in between, which I think is a really nice emphasis of each of the spaces. So because I messed up before, I'm going to mark each of my lines as we go to make sure that I'm doing the correct one. let's get a little mark out here. I'll scoot this over. 1, 2, I better use chalk because it's not going to show up really good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So does that ever happen to you? I always have to put some kind of mark on there. I need those reference lines. So there's number 12. So we're starting the diamonds, and every odd number will have that diamond on there. And that'll give us a little bit more convenience as far as figuring out what we need. So when we are doing the diamonds, remember we said that we're doing them at the 7.5 inch size. So whenever we line it up, make sure you're aligned on that 7.5 inch reference line on the template. And then right here, just a stitch or two up the line so we can get that key in there. Perfect, you fit right in there and we're ready to go. Right back to the center, one more stitch, take this out, and we're ready to sew down. We're right on the line, it looks really good. And we'll just keep going. So checking that we're on the odd number line each time, making sure that we get our design nice and clean. So 1 or 2 stitches there, and then stick the key in, maybe one more. There we go. Just one stitch allowed that key to just slip right in there and be perfectly seated in that position. So really easy to use, not complicated at all. And then here, pull it out, and our foot's already in the right place, and we'll just sew right back to our center position. Okay, so these go really, really quickly, these cute little diamonds. They're not too complicated, and they're really easy just to follow the edge of the template. So right here, let's go ahead and again, 1 or 2 stitches right past that center position there. Let's get our key lined up. Oh, not quite far enough there, huh? We need another stitch or 2. There we go. All right, and we're right aligned. Here we go. I love how cute these are. Oh, I shifted it. Don't shift it until you sew back. I was so excited. I was looking at it and I was like, oh, it looks so pretty. And just moved the ruler. Okay, let's go. So again, checking for my odd numbers, and I'm on the 7.5 inch. So I'm aligning it each time. And that's going to keep our design really pretty, nice and beautiful. And right when I see the opening here, I just got to come up a few stitches. I'll hold it in place and I'll just get my key right in there. Let him slide down the channel, and if I need one more stitch to get him lined up, then I should be able to get him right in place. Okay, so again, centered right at the top. And then we'll take the key out. So I'm holding it in place right here so my ruler isn't shifting around. Oh, darn it, I have that thread right in the way again. I thought I pulled him out of the way, but I just sewed right through him. We'll just scoot him over. And then let's see, we've only got one left, and then we'll do those cute lollipops. So lined up, right down that chalk line. So you can quickly imagine that you can easily do this with any of the crosshairs. So we're using the 6 point, but you could also use the 5. And one of the things that is unique about that is it would make each of your designs just a little bit different because you have just a little bit more space. For example, if you had 10 lines, so you could make the center parts closer together. Whereas with the 8 point, you're going to have a lot more lines. If you double up, you'll have 16. So then you could stretch them out further to create more space for the design. So those would be just some fun things that you can play with. If you have different crosshairs, it gives you a lot of different choices with your designs.
Hey,
All
Kate,
right,
I was
so
thinking
that's where we are.
we should do our first giveaway. And
Okay,
I
great.
wanted
Let's
to
do it.
share that we officially have the shape keys available on the website. So I am we're
Woohoo!
taking a look at those right now as we speak. The shape keys allow you to do what Kate's showing you today, where you can complete the shape. And they allow you to do what you're seeing on the screen right now, which is some edge-to-edge quilting with your snowflake designs. So Kate has some amazing inspiration that she created that she'll have in store for you a little bit later. But we thought we should make our first giveaway today a set of the shape keys.
I honestly think that is such a great giveaway for this class because they're really valuable. They add so much to the potential of the snowflakes. I think it's a really great fit. So if you don't have those, I really recommend them because they're amazing. So you can see right now we've got our cute little diamonds, and you can see how pretty they're all lined up with our little shape closure key. And now we're going to go ahead and we'll set this one aside. This is the number 2. So this is the smaller diamond. And now we'll start working with our cute lollipop. So I basically am just going to keep this key kind of right here on the side because we're going to be using that. And for this one, when we start, we're going to use the 9.5 alignment right there to add all of these lines. And again, that's going to make all of our designs fit in that 10-inch space because that's just the rule that I chose, the random rule. So I'm aligned right on here, and we have to go right up the channel again. So we'll just sew right up the channel. And again, I want you to see that we got to sew just a couple of stitches so that the foot itself is just past that opening, right, to where this can fit in. So you can see it can't quite fit in, so I'm just going to take 1 or 2 stitches right there so I can get the key right in there, and it's touching the ruler foot. I'm checking that. If it isn't, I'm likely to just shift this up at 1 stitch to make sure that the contact is good because we've already sewn to this point. So we don't necessarily want to shift backwards because then we would have a little sticking out part in our lollipop, and we don't want that. But here's one of the reasons why I love using the lollipop on this one, because right now with the circle closed, I can just grade inside and I can do my little spiral. And then right in the middle of the channel right there, can you guys see that? Let me show you. We'll get in a little closer. The way that I graded it in, I'm keeping the foot in the center as I'm coming out. I'm using the ruler foot as my spacer now as I'm coming out. And right when I hit the wall there, I can come back right on the circle, right to my center point, and then I'll just take the key out and I'll be ready to sew right down my line right there. So making sure that I'm right in the line, and then I'll just come right back down the line, right down to the center. So I'll flip it real quick so you can see it. It looks awesome. Isn't that fun? Look at that. Right? You'll get a little double stitching on there. I don't care because the circle is clean and pretty and we have that nice start stop point. It's going to let us make these little lollipops so cute. So let's keep going. We'll just add a couple more. So we do want to come up so we have that nice sharp closure right there. We could grade it around the edge of the circle right there, but what we want is a really clean circle. So let's go ahead and just come up so we can get the key closed, and then we'll be ready to sew. You could even make your lollipops go different directions. I'm not that coordinated, so mostly mine all go the same direction. So swirl it in there. And come right out until you hit the circle and right back down to your center position. And then here we can just start sewing right down on the line, and we'll go right back down to the center, perfectly aligned. If I get off of my line, like if my ruler shifts a little bit, that's when you want to grab your spacing gauge and just realign for the side that you're on. This will fit very well right in the center, and you end up maybe getting a nice thick line. But, you know, sometimes if you're on one side or the other, it depends on your level of precision. So if I've shifted my ruler, I might not be able to get as clean of a line, and the spacing gauge can, you know, sort that out for you, really make it clean again, get you back to good. So right here, 1 or 2 stitches, giving me space for my key, which I just stuck back here somewhere. And 1 stitch to get him in spot and ready to go. He just drops into place, and that's one of the things I really like about the key too, is that, you know, there's not a lot of big to do about getting him in there. I don't need tape or anything. He really does stay in place quite nicely. And then that lets me sew my cute little circle really easily. I'm aligned right there with the thread, just like I had before. And I can lift out my key, try to hold this right in place, and then we'll sew right back down. So those first couple stitches to get me right onto the ruler and right back down the channel. So there's my cute look so far. We'll pull it out. Let's see how many more do we go. We've got a couple. We'll just try and do it a little faster so we can, oh, do you see where I'm at? Check your line. Don't start sewing crazy. Okay, same thing. Hold it in place and I'll get right in there. 1 more stitch. Gives me right on that circle, really cute. And here we go. Braid it in. And we'll just come right back out, all the way around, back to the center. And we're lined up right there, and then I can just lift the key out, take my 1 or 2 stitches, and I can sew right back down, right on the channel. Keeping the ruler right on the line, giving me beautiful stitches all the way down. I don't know, it keeps wanting to sew right over that diamond, huh? I don't know why it's so ornery. I think when I get to the edge of the circle, I count in my head, like 1, 2, 3, and that's about what I need. And then if I need to just adjust 1 more, I'll just put 1 more in there, just to get that key to lay flat. So here, coming in, doing our little spiral. And I'm right in the line of stitching, pull the key out, and right back to the center. Okay, so we just have that last one and then we'll be finished with this cute design. And you can see that we could do this any way that we wanted to. I could even see with the diamonds where you could do a diamond where you're echoing and traveling around the diamond. And you could even use the snowflake shape for that, because all you would do is just shift it up at 1/4 inch each time. And that would really make it easy to have some kind of like this where you come inside the diamond and then you echo back out. It would look awesome. So here's our last one, right into our spiral right there. And then we'll just come right back out and we'll be right on the ruler and right down to our line, and we'll sew right back. So just pull the key right out, try to keep the ruler right in place. That's what makes it easy for us to sew right back down our line, because that way we're right on the line already. Okay, so that's the lollipop right there. And we'll just put some tacking stitches right there in the center to close that out. All right, and put my key away. I'm trying to stay organized, so let's scoot out a little bit so you can get a little bit bigger view of it. So what do you think? Do you like that? in that white thread. I love it on this red. It's so reflective. This is not a frost, but it has a lighter red tone in there. So it definitely has a little bit of an iridescence when the light hits it, which is awesome. I'll flip it over. Love it. It looks awesome. There you go. What do you think? Do you like that one? That's my favorite, the lollipop one. Just makes me smile. And
so fun. I think everybody is loving it. We got a fabulous, and we got, these are so great. Yes.
Sorry, I was having some connection issues, so I'll be watching for that. Thanks for picking up slack. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, just to recap what we've learned here. So we used the closure key, and you can see how sometimes when you want to do some of this embellishing, that closure key is really going to be valuable for making sure you can get the full shape and you won't have any strange connection right here as you're coming back to the line. So there's a lot of flexibility with it. And then this is the basic use where you're just sewing out and you're making the shape and you come back. I think it looks great, and you can just vary it up as many times as you want. Different spacing, putting in the different shapes, and it's really, really fantastic. I do also like that you get this beautiful clean stitching right here. Having this double line, you can see it's really, really putting a lot of compression on the sandwich, so you're going to get this puff on either side of this line because you're double stitching that. And I think that really adds to the design quite a bit. Okay, so that was design number 2. So let's get our next one out. All right. And all of these, again, are all set up for Template, just to show you real quick. Every one of them is all configured in this way. And then I'm going to do some other colors that we'll actually change our bobbin thread for. We'll put the green or the blue on there. I'll let you guys pick. All right, so our next one, let me show you. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump you. I'm going to grab it out. We're going to show you this one right here. And I'm so excited about this one. This is a lot of discussion about pathway with this one, about how do we get designs and how do we travel. And look at how pretty this is in the center. So we're going to talk about that first. And I'll flip it over. This one was done with this iridescent hologram thread. So let me see if I can pull that thread up here real quick. So this is top thread. I just put it in the top. And this is a flat thread, like they call it a ribbon. So let's see if we can show you. See how it's a ribbon right there? You always want to use this type of thread coming off like this, right? And I'll show you why. If I pull it from the top like this, see how it's windy and spirally right there? Whereas if I pull it off straight like this, guys, I apologize. I don't know why we're having connection issues, but I'll keep monitoring that. Hopefully it'll be the last one that we have. So we're just real quick, we're talking about this hologram thread and how it's flat. So you're always going to run it in this vertical position, never run it horizontal, and don't try to pull it off the top like this, okay? Make sure it's spooling off in this way. And it's really, really, really reflective and pretty. So when the light hits it, you get a little shimmer on there. Let's see if we can get the light to reflect for us. But it's a really, really beautiful way. If you wanted to add a little sparkle and shimmer, any of the threads like that, I think there's glitter thread is like that as well. It's kind of a ribbon, it's mylar, and it's really, really sparkly. So for this type of a project where we're trying to make something really eye-catching and shimmery for Christmas, that might be a good option. And they come in lots of different colors, reds, pinks, they have gold, silver, they even have mylar black, which can be great if you're using a lighter fabric. So that'll be an option for you if you're sewing out yours. You can use a metallic thread with it. I'm using a top stitch right now, and it sewed fine with my top stitch needle. So, okay, let's go ahead and we'll start working on the next design. And we were going to grab that out and show it to you real quick. So see where it is. Oh, we already showed it. Okay, so with this one, we are using the lines right here as we're bringing these pieces up. But when we do the first round, we're going to show you how the key can be really beneficial to doing this layered stacked design. And this could make an amazing edge to edge as well, because basically you could create like a 3-prong icicle and then a space and then an icicle and a space. And I think it would look amazing. So let's get that one out. That starts with the large onion top. So that is number 7, and we'll get our closure key. All right. So let's